Yeah, welcome to the who knows how few episodes of Board in Trouble we've had this year. I'm your host, John X, back with full sound effects.
We'll let him believe that.
Can you hear what? You guys can't hear it? I thought you
Uh,
just
eh,
what?
Keep the train moving forward. Don't stop.
Yes.
Just keep the train moving forward.
This the express train. Let's go.
Says my producer. And of course, here tonight from the lovely parts unknown, Mr. Andrew Johnson, Mr. Robert Brooks. Welcome.
What up, fellas?
What's up? We've had a long hiatus here on Board in Trouble, and I had to kind of explain that. It wasn't as if the show was going anywhere. We're not going anywhere right now, but we've actually taken a lot of hits in the past few weeks. It's been a rough couple of weeks for the show. Big shout out goes out to Grant Lancaster, who I saw myself personally about 2 weeks ago. His pops passed away.
Gee.
Big G. And that was Mr. Lancaster was a very cool guy and someone who I watched a lot of basketball games with here over the years. And may he rest in peace. Big shout out to Grant. And hopefully, brother, you'll be feeling that was Grant's man, 50 grand without a doubt. So, and I just want to give a big shout out to Big Ed. I know they call someone else Big Ed in his family, but to me, that's always Big Ed. So big shout out to Big Ed Lancaster. You did the thing. You lived your life. And you brought one of my best friends on this earth here for me, who I would find it pretty difficult to exist without. So a big shout out to Mr. Lancaster. Big respect to Grant and his side of the family. And also, Reggie Reg, who's been a contributor to the show from time to time. A few weeks ago, he lost his wife, and one of the reasons why I wanted to mention that is because we always gave him a hard time about being married, but yeah, I don't know. The man loved his wife more than anything else. So big shout out to Reg. If you're out there listening, prayers are with you.
Man did it right. He went hard on the till death do us part, and in the sickness and in health, he went hard on that. He believed in it.
He did. Just to hear his story and his eulogy when he was talking about his wife and how he actually met her. It's a funny story, really, because he kind of just he met his wife and was like, okay, I'm here. And you can't go no place else. There is this competition for your hand in marriage is officially over. And he put that down, and that was how he did that. And he told that story at the funeral. He sent us that. And hey, black love. You know what I'm saying? But just love, period. One thing about that, especially in light of all the conversations that they're having online about this guy, not Shedeur Sanders. What's the other guy, Rob?
Oh, Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter,
yeah.
And his girlfriend. There's a lot of people that are out there that have commentary and have things to say about his decision and his wife, his girlfriend, fiance, who he's been with for a few years. And to that, I just have to say, I need to mind your fucking business. Andrew, you're a relationship coach and counselor and everything. You understand better than anybody else. It's not a matter of what a stranger feels about your relationship. It's how you interact between the two of you.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. It's a tricky situation with that because they're in the public eye. So everything that they do, now that he's won the Heisman, is going to be scrutinized. So the camera is always going to be on him and her, and they're going to be, so caught up in their interactions, and everyone's going to be trying to do a psychoanalysis on them. Just to say, say, well, she made this face, or her body language was this, that, and the other. I think the only issues that I see, looking at the outside, looking in, is I'm not sure if she's going to be able to handle the fame of his stature, because if she's struggling a little bit with it here in college, the pros is at a totally different level. There's going to be women coming at him from all angles, and I don't know how she's going to be able to handle that. I mean, that's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. No,
it isn't,
and it definitely ain't for the weak.
Yes.
Well, Rob,
yes.
you work in professional sports with the Phillies. Have you ever seen? You don't have to. I don't expect you to name any players' names, but have you ever seen any situations similar to that where
I've seen wives melt down. Just like one of the announcers in Philadelphia are kind of unique in that, like, the fans really sort of embrace the announcers.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he's no longer with us. But I used to have to schedule an extra, if we were going someplace, you had to schedule an extra 20 minutes. If he was walking, because everybody was going to stop him. Everybody wanted him, you got to say hi to my mom. You got to do this. And, some people get put off by that. Like they're trying to have a conversation with this person, and there's always somebody else trying to get his attention and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not an easy way to live. And, the demands on his time and energy are just going to increase. And he's going to take them all because you're a football player. Your window is short that you can, that you got to strike. Because you don't know when the knee is going to give. You don't know when the elbow is going to give. You got to make that money now. So
and those types of interactions, those positive interactions, can stretch your money out because you're only going to get that big money now. Yeah. But afterwards, like, you work in broadcasting, you hire ex-players a lot of times.
You hire ex-players. There's still plenty of ways, but it's all going to take more of his time and attention. And if she's struggling with that now, it's going to get much worse. Like, she may not be able to handle it. And there's no getting away from it either. Like, when they go on vacation, he's Travis Hunter. Like, it's not like, when my announcers leave Philly, a lot of times they just go someplace else and be. Nobody knows who they are. And where Travis Hunter goes, he's Travis Hunter.
So, Andrew, should there be an expectation of Travis Hunter, for Travis Hunter to see his girlfriend actually grow into a role where she can deal with it a little bit better?
I think he can have that expectation. I think the problem is I think that it's the female attention. Like I said, on the pros, it's at such a different level. I mean, women can be vicious. I remember, back in the day, in the the 90s, I was living in Boston, and I knew a couple of the Celtics players that were on the team at the time. And so, we would go out to clubs and different things like that. Boston's a small city kind of thing. So mostly everybody goes to some of the same spots, and they could be with their girl or anything. And some girls would just want to jump right in front of their girl and say, take a picture, do this, that, and the other. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know how she's going to be able to handle that, because that's those women are going to be coming at him. And, at the college level, is different, because it's a little, you're sort of sheltered a little bit. When you get up to the pros, you're a grown man now, and they're going to treat you as such. It's a totally different ball game. And so I don't know. This is just me guessing. I just don't know if she's equipped to handle that. Like, it's like Robert was saying, it's only certain types of women that can handle that level of fame, when someone is that that popular.
I think the most important thing that you said in that was that I just don't know, which is really the honest answer. None of us know. What we've seen is snippets of her in a room with him for an hour, 2 hours at a time, maybe half an hour here, half an hour there, and people really just basically coming at her. We all know that there's women out there that are dying to take her place and everything. But my whole condition is like Rob, you've experienced it. You just expressed, Andrew, your experience. My experience is different. It was in music. And in music, you have women that are throwing themselves at you all the time. There was a time when I was just in a music video, and I could pretty much go any place and get laid within a half an hour and everything from a stranger. someone I did not know. And I did test that out once or twice when I was younger. I'm not going to lie. I did test it out once or twice just to see if I could make it happen. I didn't actually make it happen at that time, though, because I've always had certain standards. Even if I made you wait, I would make it wait for maybe the next day. I think about it, I go out and I try to make it happen. And I say, oh, this shit really worked. Let me call this all up and, go and smash these cheeks because they're available. Because I was young and I'm immature, and those are the things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for temporary relief in that short period of time. I don't think Travis Hunter is that type of cat. Rob, you can attest to the type of work that it takes to be a D1 football player, nevertheless a Heisman Trophy winner. Is this guy really going to spend his free time out there chasing a lot of butt cheeks?
Some of them do. I mean, some do. Like, it's, there's some dudes on this planet who are just freaks, man. Like, yeah. And I'm not just talking about in a sexual sense. I just mean, like, there's a dude, I'll just say his first name, Art. Art went to a high school in Brooklyn. Art was short as shit. Art's legs looked like tree trunks. I swore Art could hear the hole. I don't even know if he could see it, but he could hear the hole. This motherfucker he set the high school rushing record at his high school in Brooklyn with a surgically repaired knee. Came to Temple one day, right after you guys had visited, and you guys left a case of 40s.
Okay.
So Art's like, yo, you got 40s in your room, man? Why don't you bring this motherfucker? So I bring some 40s down, like figuring after practice, we're going to hit him. No, this motherfucker wants to set these 40s before practice. Like, it was the worst day of football I ever had in my fucking life, man. I got yelled at so much. I was 8 steps behind everybody. Art was like nothing ever happened. Like, he was just fine.
He was a natural talent.
Yeah. He was ridiculous. And there's some dudes like that. There are some dudes who, they go out at night, they put the sign up, it's like a railroad. They have like a railroad schedule and shit on their door. Right. we got an 8:15, we got a 9:17, we got a 9:45, and then a midnight. Let's go.
And those are good times for them as young men.
I definitely got to take the name off of this story, but there's a dude. He was actually a Hall of Famer. But we're out at a dinner, and one of the other guys in the groups is smashed, like just hammered. And he goes, you see that shit? See, so many guys ruin their careers with that shit drinking. Now me, I like to fuck. And if you do it right, you can fuck 2-3 broads in a night. And like, my head was splitting open because, I mean, the guy's a Hall of Famer, but at this point, he's like everybody's grandfather. He's like 67 years old at this point. And this is how he's been operating for the last 40-something years.
Still getting it in.
Still getting it in. I mean, literally till the day he died. Getting it in.
That's interesting. But it just goes to show when you're talking about stuff on the internet, you're talking about these relationships, and nobody can tell you how to do your thing.
No.
Everybody gets up and gets out, like, and gets along there to the best of their abilities and what works for them, not what works for you. So why did all these people all of a sudden feel like there's one way for you to do everything? I think it just goes to the stupidity of humanity right now, and the lack of diversity in you. And that's a word that is used against humanity, because just being diverse doesn't just mean black, white, or Hispanic. It also can include your interest.
Well, the world is being dragged in that direction, but most people have no idea that it's going on. Like,
expand, please.
So I'm in the middle of reading this book called, over the summer, I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman, Roger McNamee, high-level investor. He was one of the early investors in Facebook. He was a mentor to Mark Zuckerberg. He and this guy named Bono have a fund called Elevation Partners that they use, the venture capital fund. But he wrote a book called Zucked about how he feels Facebook failed us after the 2016 election and sort of failed themselves. And he talks about how the moment that they made it, they started monetizing the site, it went wrong. And so the algorithms now are designed to keep you engaged. The algorithms, once upon a time, we all assumed that technology was for our betterment. The problem now is that the technology is for its own betterment and for profit. And so it's designed to keep you in the app. Well, how do you do that? You find out as much as you can about you, and you feed you more of what it thinks, what you react to. So you like this, you're going to get another one of that. You know, you like this, well, this is attached to that, so now you're going to get this. And it creates smaller bubbles for people. It puts people into bubbles, into tribes, and separates us, because that's how you create attachment to the app.
Well,
so we've become more tribal, but it's not necessarily our fault. You know, we're less accepting of other ideas, but it's not necessarily our fault, because we keep getting our own ideas reinforced to us through the app. And so you start thinking that there's no way anybody else would think like that, because all you're seeing is Y. So why would anybody think X?
Because
you just have a steady stream of Y in front of you.
It's been targeted to you.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you think that comfort is dangerous?
It's very dangerous. It's at a point to where Rob is right. You know, they're sending you more of the same. So anything that you are looking at for more than, say, 10 seconds, you're gonna get that type of video, that type of content on steroids. And it is absolutely true. You know, they got what do they call that when you're sort of like on your phone and you're just flipping through all the different things, and they say
doom
it's
scrolling.
Like you get like you get into like a trance almost.
Yeah.
And you just sit there, and I've caught myself doing it a couple of times, not even really realizing it. And so it's very dangerous. And the thing is that we have put so much emphasis on our phone and the usage of the phone, whether it's just streaming video, looking through different things, or just, you know, going on dating apps or whatever. But we put so much emphasis on this. It's like we can't function as human beings without one.
Well, but part of that is that the apps are designed to give us little hits of dopamine.
Yes.
To trigger that within us, to give us a little hit of dopamine. So you know, you're looking for that like, you're looking for that, you know, oh, somebody tagged me.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I got a like.
Yes.
Oh, ding. Yes. Somebody's reacting to something that I said, or somebody's reacting to this. Like, it's all about creating that feel good thing in your brain, touching that feel good thing in your brain. It's like getting a pee-pee touch every couple minutes.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like, you know, the first thing you do, what's the first thing you do when you get out of bed?
Check your phone.
Get that phone, you know. So that's true. That's what's happening. It's just we're seeing how many people liked our video, whether we put a little clip up, or, you know, how many listens we got, how many, you know, whatever the case may be. We're kind of stuck to this stuff like glue. The danger is, what's scaring me more than anything else is that I think the country's going to a point where we're at a tipping point with the billionaires and these oligarchs. They're the one who are, you know, the biggest beneficiaries of it, you know, financially. And I think people are just going to be broke and run out of money. And, you know, it's just going to be a matter of, and we're starting to see it now.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a matter to where I think something, you know, serious is going to end up happening because of, you know, this, what's going on with this. You know, I believe currently right now we're in the second Gilded Age. So I think with that being the case, you know, and with this technology, it's a recipe for disaster.
Well, hopefully they don't eat the middle class.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that there is a middle class.
There is a middle class.
I think that there are people. I think that the middle class is more of an upper middle class now, and I don't think that the old structures that we used to go by, where we had the upper, middle, lower, working lower, and things like that. I don't think they exist in that way anymore. I think
John, you're talking about the 5 classes. You know how you have the 5 classes of wealth, basically. You're
Right.
saying that it's probably down to 3.
I'm saying I'm saying that much like most of these things that we talk about today, the old prescriptions that we used to use to define these systems that we have are now outdated. So to say middle class is just when people invoke the middle class, what they're doing is they're invoking a bygone era that no longer exists, that you want to feel like you are a part of, but it doesn't actually exist anymore. And it's really simple math. You know, when you go into the economics of what this country is, like I pretty much told everyone what was going to happen after the pandemic. They printed all that money. Now, in order to get rid of that money, what has to happen is, like, when they print all that money, they have to get that money back. And the money doesn't actually exist. So everyone that got those 60, 70,000, 80,000, all that money that was quote unquote printed, it really wasn't printed. It was digitally sent out to you. You deposited into your bank, and it just made your balances really big for a point in time. But then what happened was they slowly drifted away. The first year, it was, okay, what are people going to do with all the extra money? Everybody had money, you remember? Nobody wanted to go back to work. I've got all this money saved up from the pandemic. I don't want to go back to work. I'm going to go and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. A lot of people did that. That money got drained away. So now, as that money starts coming back in, they took us back to where we were pre-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, everyone was struggling. People were struggling. We were seeing the effects of the economy. And that's exactly where they've put us back right now, to that point where we're seeing the effects of that economy now. Now, if you have a municipal job, there are a couple of different places. To me, I look at people who have municipal jobs as being like those are the fascists. They're the bootlickers. They're the ones that are, whether they want to be or whether they don't want to be, but they have it. They have those jobs. They're automatic every week. You're going to get a pension. There's a pension attached to it. And you're going to behave in order to keep that. No other place in this society does that exist anymore. I can't go to a job anymore and I can't basically negotiate for my money or for my salary the way I used to. And if I do, it's only a temporary thing. Because what happens is, like I always talk about the people that I know that work in the tech industry. This is the worst time of year for those people. Because every year, now, for the past probably like 2 or 3 years, it's nothing but layoffs. Nothing but layoffs. And you sit around, you wait, you get a new job 2 months from now, or maybe you don't get a new job 2 months from now and everything. It's an easy way for them to take technology, which is basically gobbling up a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs that people used to do are now getting replaced every year by technology. So you lose your job, you try to find another job. And now, if say 10 people lose their job, I'll use that as an example. Now, out of those 10 people, this year, 7 people will find a new job. Next year, 5 people will find a new job. Next year, 2 people will find a new job. They're slowly whittling away at the ability for individuals to make money. And that's why things like this, like the strike they're about to have at Amazon, are so important. It's such a big thing. But at the end of the day, Amazon wants to automate everything also. Amazon, that's the company that created drones to lift your package up and deliver it to your house in the sky. No more cars. They're consistently looking for ways to get rid of people. And that gets rid of the economy, and that shrinks the economy. Less people have money, the smaller the economy is. That's simple, basic math, 101. And what they're doing legislatively, where they're saying that if you don't pay taxes, and mentally too, you don't pay taxes, you don't make a lot of money, you don't contribute as much as this guy, you don't matter. So there's no reason for us to listen to you. And they are literally telling people that. They're literally telling people, if you don't have money, your opinion does not matter. We have an incoming president that his right-hand man owns a large corporation. They are literally, now there's no separation between the two anymore. There's not going to be. And you don't have people that are, and the reason why I mention it is because nobody's upset about it.
I think people are upset about Elon Musk, but you know, you have the people who are in the cult and the MAGA cult just keep telling you that you're overreacting. You know, the media, the folks who own the media who are trying not to get sued by Donald Trump are trying to find a way to talk about it, but without offending the characters who are involved in this drama. They're completely falling down on their responsibilities in that act. That's a discussion for a different day. That's some bullshit. But people are upset about it. But unfortunately, what is there to do about it besides hold your breath and hope this shit doesn't stink too bad? You know,
well,
for older guys, like I always, you know, I used to always joke with Gene. Revolution is a young man's game. Like getting out in the streets and, you know, marching and all that shit. That's not for people in their 50s.
Right. I'm marching. Only place I'm marching to is bed.
Exactly.
Well, as long as the march is over by 10 o'clock at night.
Right. This is like we're pushing it right now. Right now, someone's out there looking for us right now, saying y'all supposed to be in bed. Y'all supposed to be in bed. And I feel that. I definitely feel that. My problem is that, well, it's not even my problem, really. It's really their problem. You know, we have a generation of people that they don't recognize how they're being rocked to sleep. And
but how can they? They've been raised with this instrument that is slowly crushing them without telling them, without giving them a notice about it. It is slowly taking their ability away to think.
Well, here's my thing. I mean, they think that they're thinking.
Of course they do.
And I listen to TikTok, and there are some very passionate conversations on TikTok about absolutely fucking nothing. Shit that's not going to move the needle any place. And the thing about TikTok is it's much like what you had discussed before about the internet. It's about driving interesting conversation.
It's not even about TikTok's not even about driving interesting conversation. Really, all it's about is keeping you on the app.
Yeah.
It's all about increasing your time spent on the app. It's not, they don't give a shit what you talk about. They don't give a shit what you like. They just want you to stay there so they can get more advertising dollars. The longer you're on there, the more they can charge for advertising. The more you're on there, the stronger they can build the profile they have of you, and they can feed it into the AI engine so that at some point they won't need any more information about you because they got you. They know where you go. They know what you do before you buy this. They know what you do before you make important decisions. They know everything about you. And they feed it in the machine, and the machine can then tell them what you're going to do a lot of times before you even know what you're going to do.
Well, here's my warning to those people, though, that are on these shows. When you keep on running these same different shows with different things that are based upon, for example, interracial marriages, you know, why are black men not marrying black women? And you have these passionate conversations that go on for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. And then when you look at the statistics and you recognize that the majority of black men that make over six figures, you know, what percentage of them are married to black women? Do you know what that percentage is?
62%.
No, 95.
95.
95%. What we're talking about is such a minuscule amount of men that have made a decision that may be based upon what you're talking about for 2 hours, may not be. You know, it goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, you know, about this guy Travis Hunter and his girlfriend. You know, maybe there's things that they talk about when they're in private that he can only discuss with her. Yeah. You know, and vice versa. And that's how you pick your partner. You pick your partner based upon things that you actually, y'all got to catch each other's back. It don't matter what the motherfucker look like. It matters whether or not they catch you back. And if the argument is that a person has to be within your race, no matter what, You know, that's a loser's argument. No wonder why you're fucking always getting divorced and shit like that. Because the important things are not that. I read these things, these conversations that we have in the Ask Sid group on online. Big shout out to Sid Severe. You're in that group too. And what they talk about, these conversations that they're having with these women, about their relationships, it's like generally, Andrew, you would really get in there, you'd have a field day with it. Because you got a lot of people that are married, and this guy is saying, and like, you know, for example, a woman said today, I found out my husband is cheating on me, and you know, we've been married for X amount of years, and or he just wants to get divorced, and we've been married for X amount of years, and I don't know why this is, and so on and so forth. And you know, I'm a good wife, and I do X, Y, and Z. And as I read these things, I start to come to the realization that these people don't even know these people that they're sleeping next to every day. Because that's the only response and the only reason why someone would wake up after 10, 15 years of marriage and tell you something like, oh, I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm not going to even explain myself to you. And I feel like I don't have to.
You know, that's funny, John, because you know, a lot of people now, especially, I hate to say it, but the newer generation, marriage is about what we can do for each other. The love aspect is sort of coming in a distant second to lifestyle. So it's like, what do I get out of this? You know, and then once that dries up, people will you always hear a lot of these relationships. They might say to a girl, why didn't you marry the baby father, this, that, and the other? They'll just say, we grew apart. And all they're basically saying is that the stimulation is gone. The stuff that I was initially attracted to, the lifestyle, maybe he doesn't have the money he had, maybe he was, you know, faking it, or whatever the case may be, it just goes away. And so when that's gone, they're not combined to each other, connected to each other by love. They're connected to each other by lifestyle. So I just, you know, it's funny. I just did a talk in the community. There's about maybe 12 women. And I explained to them their choices because they, you know, like out of the 12, 10 of them raised their hand and said they wanted to get married. And what I said to them is that you have 3 options nowadays when it comes to getting married. You're going to get half the man you want, you're going to get all the man that you need, or you're not getting anything. Those are your options. And it's really hard for women to accept that because women really believe that they can get 100. And so they've been told they can get 100.
They deserve
yes,
100.
Yeah, and that's the issue. So even when you say 80 to them, they give you a scrunch face. It's like they're like 80. You know, they really believe that they can get the 100. And so when I give them those are their choices and options, they don't want to hear that. So they're going to go on to some of these apps, like, you know, the different ones that give them the 60-second sound bites that are going to keep reinforcing their cognitive biases on thinking that they're going to get 100. It's no different. You can even make an argument that the church does it to them. Come to the church, meet a man, they get you a man, this, that, and the other. It's okay. You got all these kids. It's fine. Come in here. It's to keep you. It's no different than the app. It's to keep you stimulated, to keep you there, so that you can get, you know, the more time you're there.
Hopefully, you'll start tithing.
Yes,
contributing to the well-being of the foundation.
Yes. So that's where we're at. Everyone wants that cognitive bias, that belief. You know, it's hard to tell people you're not. You know, this isn't a Tyler Perry movie.
You're not even close.
Yeah.
I listened to it and it's like, to me, I listened to it. I'm like, y'all ain't even close to happiness. You're not close to fulfillment. You're not close to companionship. You're not close to anything. And as I was saying this, like, you know, on my Facebook, I still have my Facebook listed as single, you know, and I've been in a relationship for over a decade now, you know, and I'm not going nowhere. I'm not out here hunting. I'm not out here fishing. I'm not going nowhere. It's just like, because I have that type of relationship where, you know, we rely upon each other. And if she's not there, or if I'm not there, then, like, you know, that's a bad thing and everything, but we'll keep going. We'll keep getting through to it. These people, when I listen to it, they don't even understand Like they're not even close with their conversation.
But for many of them, how would they know? Like how many of them are brought up in a situation where they get to see a good, wholesome relationship modeled for them?
Well, that's a good point, Rob. That's a good point, Rob. But you're also talking about a generation or generations that are younger than us. They've been disrespecting any type of information or knowledge, or this.
We're raising them. Let's stop kicking these kids in the fucking teeth. We're the ones who raised them. We're the ones who handed them fucking telephones and iPads at 2 years old because we didn't want to fucking deal with them.
Well, listen.
And now they're disrespectful.
Listen, I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about our kids per se.
No, I'm just saying this younger generation. They're being raised by fucking iPads.
40 years old. That's not my child. That's someone who's younger than me. You know, for anywhere from 40 to 50 years old. That's a generation that's like right there, right next to us, but completely and totally different. And you guys have heard me say it a million times. I am one of the most understanding and compassionate people when it comes to these things, more than anyone else, because I was a mortgage banker in 2006. I did see a lot of these people grow up with housing insecurity, financial insecurity, family insecurity, all of these things that have added on to the angst of what these generations that follow us before. We were probably the last generation that had a solid understanding and upbringing. But at the same time, you know, their stuff was different, but they're still beefing. Like, I'll give a great example. Great example is like what happened with Joe Biden and the Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill took him down, took him out completely. You know, there's no argument behind that. He came up with that crime bill. He put those people in jail, and so on, so forth. But you and I, Andrew, we all understand what it was like. We know what crack was like. We talked about it on the show. We know what it was like. We know that it was for the first time we saw people in our neighborhoods coming up and shooting people. And we saw drug dealers and we saw drug users in our family, in our uncles and aunts, our neighbors, things like that. All types of people from all different walks of life. Crack was a scourge on the United States of America. In context, it's not fair to say that it was just about getting these people off of the streets, because really, honestly, nobody knew what the fuck to do in those situations. We just knew that it wasn't right. It wasn't the way it was supposed to be. And there were not a whole bunch of people. The Black community was not up in arms when they passed that crime bill. There were segments of us that were activists and active and always have been and always will be, that recognized the disparity between what they were offering in time for crack cocaine as opposed to powder cocaine. And that was always a segment. But that was it. Everybody else was happy with it because we were tired of seeing the crazy shit. That was a community-wide thing that happened. Would you agree or would you disagree with that statement?
No, I agree with you. And you know, we're in the Gen X. So we're the generation, if we grew up in New York, I always say we grew up BC to an extent. When I say BC, I say before crack. So we know what New York was like before crack, when it hit, and then what happened after. Right. And so the thing was, what ended up happening was we had this new powerful thing, this new powerful drug that was at the time when it first came out, because it wasn't chopped up, you know, it was essentially 80-85% cocaine. So that's why people were going nuts on the drug when they were first getting on it, and they were getting, you know, kind of hooked on it pretty quickly. But as the time went by, you know, the potency of it dropped, and so it wasn't quite as deadly. But the crime, whenever the government or any group or anything deals with some form of a pandemic, there's always an overreaction. Crack was no different. Some people say there was an overreaction to the pandemic with COVID. There's no whenever there's a pandemic or epidemic, society's natural reaction is to overreact.
Well,
And
the reason
so
why,
that's why the mandatory sentencing laws came into effect. It took the power from the judge and gave it to the prosecutor as long as he could make his case, because the judge's hands were tied. He had to go by the sentencing guidelines. So
we've actually talked about this on the show before, Andrew. So I don't want to go over and like cover the same thing again.
Sure.
My point was that in context, the context today, when you listen to these young people talk about these things and get all passionate about it, the context is bastardized. It's not the same context. And if you try to provide context to them, they dismiss it automatically, or they don't want to hear it. They can't understand it. They didn't experience it. They didn't live through it.
But John, you know what it is? You know what it is? They get their information in sound bites. So it's that's the problem. So we can't, like, me and you can know we can decipher things, and we can look at something and say, we might need to do a little bit of more research on it. We might need to do a little bit more. I'm not going to just jump to a conclusion. They're going to get it in such a quick way. And if you can't explain it to them in seconds so they're not, the context is gone. They need it in that short burst of energy, basically.
And Rob and I were having a conversation today, and this is kind of like what we came up with at the end, is that if they can't get past those sound bites, then we're doomed.
Yes.
Their intelligence is doomed, because as soon as you're having a conversation, like we have a great conversation here, and I even missed the original wisdom app the way it was, because, it might have had different people with different points of view, and it might have been somewhat crazy at some points and everything, some channels you might listen to, but it was real. It was real conversation, and it was in depth, and it forced you to go past just what you're learning in a snippet on the internet. You have to have deep conversation. You have to be able to give and take. You have to also be able to listen. You have to be able to take things back. You have to, sometimes you're not right about everything. We're not all right about everything. We can't all be correct about everything at all times. It's just like it's not possible. It's not possible. It's not real. And with all these portals opening up in the sky right now, and all these different things going on, I can't help but think that we may be ripe for harvest at this point.
But you know what it is? That they're going to react to when they feel it. So once the pressure, and they feel it, and they start to feel it, that's going to persuade them. They're only going to react when they start to feel it, meaning like their situation has gotten a whole lot worse, or a lot dire. There's nowhere for them to go. They can't go rely on those sound bites. When they start to feel it, that's when the change will occur. And just when the change occurs, because I believe it will, because things don't just stay for a certain way forever. It's going to be a quick change. Things are going to happen relatively quickly, because it's going to catch on really fast. But the thing is, people have to get to that point where everyone is starting to feel the pressure or the pain that is associated with that type of behavior.
I think by the time that happens, it's going to be too late this time. We're entering into a zero-sum situation here with what's going on with the new regime that's going to be coming in here in the next couple of months. And a lot of people are going to really fall by the wayside. A lot of people that were cheering, you see the buyer's remorse as it is right now. First we're going to bring down prices on day one. Now, it might be a little bit more difficult to bring down prices than we thought it was.
But John, let me just say this real quick. Part of the issue is that the reason why we're struggling so much with trying to figure some of this stuff out is it's about 52% of our country, our population, adults, they read at a 6th grade reading level. And so they rely on people giving them the information. They can't make a decision on their own. So that's half the country.
But that's half of the country's fault. for that happening.
I agree.
You know, because one of the reasons why Trump won is because he ran on a platform of getting rid of the Department of Education. Now, the majority of people don't even understand what the Department of Education does.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing is that, you know, I've been saying since 1984 that the only way that you can balance and you can balance out the equality and everything in the United States of America and have a true system where the best man wins is by educating everyone. And what the system has done, what have they done? They've actually gone in the opposite direction. You know, people say homeschooling is a good thing. You know, it can help you find your niche, but it's going to leave you dumb in a lot of different ways. Just like, you know, when I was doing mortgages, I had a couple of clients that were doctors, brilliant people, but couldn't do math for shit. Didn't understand finance for shit. Didn't understand it at all. Not a fucking clue. You can have an IQ of 130. You know, you can have an IQ of 120 and be a doctor.
Well,
all you have to do is be focused.
Where's the place in America where they teach you finance?
Nowhere.
Where as important as pertinent as finance is to your day-to-day, where exactly in the school curriculum do they cover finance? Do they cover budgeting for retirement? Do they cover saving for a home? What do they cover? Home equity loans and different methods of finance? Where's all that covered?
If they taught you finance, they wouldn't be able to take advantage of you, though. So it's like that's never going to, and this is the whole thing. It's like this is kind of like discernment, being able to identify your friends from your enemies. What is good for you and what is bad for you. And
John, if well, I was just going to say real quick, if people knew that when they get a 30-year mortgage, halfway isn't 15 years, it's 22 and a half years. If you could just get them to realize that's how much they're being ripped off, I guarantee you it would change. It's just that they can't fathom that. And so that's why I say that you're right. The education system has let us down, and that's people can't even figure that out.
But you can't tell people that the education system has let them down because they're so passionate and so strong. They're so strongly opinionated about the things that they're opinionated. They're so strongly opinionated about the fact that Black people don't come from Africa or Black people come from Africa. And these things are things that they will spend all their fucking time butting their heads about. Who's Black and who isn't? You know, where we all know, my mother made it simple. Light skin versus dark skin. You know what I'm saying? What is more? You know what I'm saying? Is more value to a light person or to a dark person and everything? And the answer is the same as my mother told me, the same thing that they call you when you go down south, the N-word. You know, they call you both of you are the same. These are things that these are things that we discuss, that we argue about, that have literally no value. I think it's hilarious every day, you know, when I see different stuff, when I see the Umar like memes, but at the end of the day, Umar is a clown. The guy's a clown because like what does he do for the community? Right?
He's building a school.
All right.
It's just taking him 10 years, but he is building a school.
10 years to build the school. Okay. And besides that, he gets paid off of all these different memes and and the division. He doesn't actually do anything for the Black community. Anyone who does anything for the Black community is attacked right away and ostracized. And that is it. And if you have power, and we have this thing in our community where we are so righteous. We are so right. We are so proper, prim and proper. The same people that are going out and shooting people over fucking, you know, one block or the next that you don't own, one color that you're wearing and that someone else is wearing. These are the things that we actually take as life or death. White people don't have to even enter into our neighborhoods anymore. to actually do these things. They can do them. All they have to do is turn on the TV or put out a record and everything. We don't control our music. So we don't control the messaging that goes into our people. So they don't even get that. We don't even have the advantage there. We don't have a Tribe Called Quest.
Would we change? Here's the thing, though. If we controlled it, would we change it?
At this point in time, no. Now, if we could go back, if you would have built a time machine and you go back to 1989, when that attack was first happening, then yeah, you could change it. You could have changed it then, because there were actually people that were wearing red, black, and green everywhere. And that was the music that they listened to. That's the music that we danced to. And we
Did you pick 1989 just because it's the start of Fight the Power?
No, it's just like it just comes into my mind as a year. But you know, it's a good point. But even before that time, we had, you know, these people can't even imagine what a block party is when nobody gets shot. You know, there might be fights, there might be a fight, there might be some beef, you know, but there ain't nobody pulling out no Uzis or nothing like that. How is this a community when the community fights each other and everything? And the thing is that's so sad about the whole thing is that the poor whites have the same problems. The poor whites have the same problems. But their shit manifests itself in a different way. Let me give you an example, right? This girl who went to this Christian school, who went in there and shot these people in her Christian school, right? You know what they're not telling you about her? That when they searched her computer, she had a predisposition towards white power ideology. Did you hear that anywhere? Did you hear that, Andrew, anywhere?
I did not.
Okay. She was actually on those websites, and she was like really into that stuff. She was a loner, and she was this and that and this. And of course, the first thing they say is that, oh, she was a lesbian, or she was like this and that. And she identified as something else. No, she was just a regular young white girl who had been indoctrinated into this white power belief system. And she went out and she shot these people in her neighborhood, in her school. It's got nothing to do with any other community other than them. Okay, this is their problem. This is their issue that they created. And
well, but here's the thing. Did they create it, or did this larger thing that's going on in social media help create it? Did the people who were trying, and is this a sort of an innocent byproduct of the people who are trying to elect Donald Trump to office, creating the divisions that are necessary to keep people from voting for Kamala Harris? Because that's the other side of the whole data mining thing, is that they have people down to such a thing that, like, when they talk about the election interference in 2016, it wasn't just disinformation in the way that we would think it is, but it was like, hey, look, we need these people not to vote for Hillary. We don't need them to vote for Donald. We just need them to not vote for Hillary. So they would run ads, hot button ads, in areas that they needed Donald Trump votes just to get people to not run for Hillary, feed them bullshit about Hillary or about the Democrats just to keep them at home. And this young girl who's been on the internet, she's getting these things that keep pushing her further and further into a corner. You know, is that her local community problem, or is that the global problem that we're all dealing with right now?
It's definitely global. And also there's more to it. Her parents were a mess and everything. I'm not saying that the white power ideology was the only thing that actually got it going, but I'm saying it was a contributing factor to what happened in that situation. And we have to be well, we don't have to be anything, first of all. We're fucking, they're pushing us
almost out of the demographic.
Yeah, my algorithm is something completely and totally different right now. It's not pushed towards popular anything, you know, because we're on our way out, according to them. We're not the ones that are moving and shaking. And they know for a fact that nobody's listening. Nobody listens to older people with any type of respect. They say, oh, well, it's your fault why it happened. They've been taught not to take responsibility for their own actions. all the things about quality and character and anything that could have possibly you can actually build upon, and it's all been stripped away. It's all been stripped away, and it all looks different than what it's supposed to look like. There was one other point I wanted to get to that I actually missed, but generally it's like when I look at what's going on right now, I think that it's going to be an interesting next couple of years. I'll just put it that way. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to see how many people push back, and forget about pushing back. Like, it could be all over because we got these portals and we got these orbs coming up in a planet and everything and all these different things. If you believe in time travel, I think it's like the timing is kind of curious. After the election was over and everything, all of a sudden the aliens start coming by and all these portals start being opened up and all these different. So maybe what's about to happen is closer to the end than what we actually believe or want to believe. And nobody really wants to believe it because who wants to believe that you don't want to wake up tomorrow and the world is just not going to be there?
I'm just worried that time travel is going to make me go sit through 8th grade fucking Spanish again.
I'm
going to have to go to the ice capades again. Me llamo Roberto.
Te amo Roberto.
Hey, John, I got to get ready to sign off. Something's going on here in the house, but hey, great conversation, brother.
We got to get John some happy pills.
Yeah.
We got to see some optimism, bro. We got to get you some good water and shit.
Listen, man, it was a rough year. I've been taking and Andrew, thank you. You can sign off, man. Thank you for showing up.
Absolutely.
It's been a few weeks since we've had anything, of course, with everything that's going on. And look, I mean, I'm not despondent about anything. I look at it like I'm on borrowed time. 1,300 blood sugar. I've been reading these theories. Sometimes I think that perhaps I didn't actually get up and I just moved to a different realm of reality where I actually lived and everything. And
that's why your hair's just growing wild now.
My hair is growing wild now because I'm actually loving it. And you know what? I'm picking up on the spiritual and the natural things here and everything. And you like see a glory. You pick up on your receptors.
You're gonna get dreads? You're gonna grow dreads?
I don't know about dreads, but I'm definitely considering getting it braided again, like I haven't had in a long time. I'm definitely considering getting it braided again. And I haven't had braids since, some people have never seen me in braids, but I actually did have braids in, let me think of, what was the year? Probably 2000, I want to say 2003. 2003, 2004, somewhere along there. But I'm like loving the hair right now, honestly. Okay. And I'm at an age where it's like, honestly, I was thinking about it like, I walk in uncombed and everything, and I'm just basically like, fuck it, fuck y'all. I'm old enough. I've been here enough time. I can do whatever the hell I want. More people should do what the hell they want. I'm kind of ashamed for young people for not doing what the hell they want. They supposedly have all this autonomy to be all these things. And the only thing they think that autonomy means taking all your fucking clothes off. That's the only way. Wearing a fucking bikini or showing your fucking naughty bits, that's not fucking freedom. That's pornography. And look, I'm a man. I don't mind looking at it. But at the same time, it's like there's a limit to that shit. And that's what this phone is. You have a whole app. Facebook made a whole app called Threads that's supposed to be competing with Twitter. And it's nothing but hoes. Nothing but hoes.
Once again, what gets attention?
Hoes.
They get rewarded for attention. So what gets, you can't break down all of your engineering wizardry in fucking 45 seconds, but you can get naked and show your muscles and get fucking reaction. And it's all about reaction. That's what they're being raised with.
That's the fucking
But
truth.
once again, we can't holler at them because they don't even know they're in a fucking war. They don't even know that they're being dragged under. They don't know they're being targeted and they're being dragged under. They think this is just fun.
Well, it is.
It's all fun until shit is fucked up.
Yeah, for a little while until it's all until it's all gone. And I mean, hey, look, Rob, it's been an hour.
Yeah.
It's been an hour.
Or more for some of us.
Yeah, or more, exactly. Listen, man, me and the technical difficulties. It's been 3 weeks. I didn't have the machine hooked up. I didn't have anything hooked up, and so we're running a little bit late. We're going late to the midnight.
Well, my friends at CBX are waiting for me. I have some GM already packed up and waiting.
Well, I'm going to let you go because I'm getting ready to go myself. I'm actually doing something. I'm actually going to work and helping one of my old boys out. This kid that actually I used to work for his father, but he used to work for me at his father's company, and now he owns his own company, and they're moving their warehouse. And it was very funny. He called me up today. He's like, because he knows I don't do that stuff anymore, but I'm proficient at it. And he's like, I'm having problems getting all this stuff organized and shit like that. And I was thinking, like, should I call you? He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I was thinking if I should call you. And I was driving down a thing, and on the radio it said, X gonna give it to you. So I picked up the phone. I gave you a call. So I said, yeah, I'll come help you out for a little while.
You and Strappy?
Huh?
You and Strappy?
No, I'm not lifting anything, bro. No.
Strappy?
No, he has movers. I'm just doing the logistical. I'm helping him do the logistical part. I may of course, you end up moving 1 or 2 different things, but I'm not in the shape I'm not doing any full moves. When I used to work for the other companies, I used to do that too. I used to run the crews and help them out. So I'm kind of what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'll help them out a little bit, make sure they don't do anything really stupid. And, and I'm gonna drive myself there. He was like, I'll come pick you up. I'm like, no, because I know what that means, that I'm stranded.
Yep.
That's happening.
That means I'm in for the duration.
That ain't happening. So I am gonna get up and go help him out. So I need to get some sleep because we up at 8. And it's good to see. Yeah, but you know what? It's good to see. And believe it or not, it's a white boy. People think I don't know any white people, but I actually do have white friends.
Oh, I figured it was.
Yeah, it is a white guy. He does. Yeah. Well, I know people that own businesses that are black men as well. Most people they're so crazy, they're so stupid. They think that everything is it can only be this way or it can only be that way. That was kind of and I'm going to end on this. I'm going to tell a story about my net group. Okay. And I tell you how we always argue with these dudes. Remember I came on the show and the guys that kind of came at me. Mm-hmm. And, a guy was talking about how I was sick and all this other shit. Well, turns out the dude disappeared because he went into the hospital and he was sick. And he put a message up in the group and he put himself in the hospital. He was like, I have to kind of take the stuff back that I said to you because now I'm in the hospital right now too. Now, this is not a matter of you never are supposed to run around and
this is the shot of Florida.
Yeah, be like, this is great. This is great that this happened and everything. It's just I don't feel that way whatsoever. I actually liked him at one point and everything. I actually did like him at one point. And the thing that we had our rift was that he was arguing with me, and what he said to me during this argument was that he's a very severe Trumper. He's like, my problem with you, John, is that you did everything right, but you have this ideal and everything. So what he's saying to me is that I worked hard like I was supposed to. I have the same, I have hardworking ideologies. I've got talent and I got understanding of the markets and ways that you can actually exploit them and take advantage of them. But your biggest problem with me is the fact that I don't agree with you at the end on who I would vote for politically and the things that I actually believe work. But that's because of the fact that I have knowledge and I understand that one thing affects another. I understand that an educated population is for the better, not for the worse. I understand that having autonomy and being able to make a choice is better than being forced into a situation, because then later on in life, when you find out that you were wrong, that can be devastating and crushing to you. And I also understand that just because I have these ideologies, not everybody agrees with me either. Okay. So it's like I'm more open to it. And the thing that was I really thought about as he was saying this was like, damn, he's saying this shit, but he still don't fucking get it. He don't get the fact that I took my time out to actually school him and put him on to something and to help him out and to do the right thing by him. And he returned that because he believed in a different ideology with derision. And he never will get it at this point, because it's just like, because in his mind's eye,
it's not for everybody to get.
Yeah, it's not for everybody to get. And I understand that. And, so what I did was what would you do in that situation, Rob? You'd probably make a joke about him being in the hospital and keep it pushing, right?
Hell of I hope he gets better and, go back to smoking weed.
And go back to smoking, right, exactly. Right.
Don't worry about my own shit. Yo, I got my own shit to worry about.
My own shit to worry about. You got your shit to worry about. It's not a disrespect thing. It's still actually a love thing.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, but it's a love in a different way, because I just can't fuck with you no more. I can't put you on no more. And that's the reason why. And then when brothers don't understand why brothers do not stick together, they don't look in the mirror. They don't understand that I reached out to you so that way you could reach out. That's the way it was taught to us, right? All the people taught us stuff, and they told us to tell the other people.
Each one teach one.
Each one teach one. So, but you don't want to each one teach one. You don't want to be taught by me. You don't like the message, or you don't like the package that it comes in. So you have a problem with it. And that was all it came down to, is that you just didn't like you don't like the fact that I came down with the ideology that's different than yours and everything. Maybe it's more expansive. Maybe it's more learned. So, how do we fix these motherfuckers?
You don't. It's there. It's not. Everybody's got their own trip on this planet. Everybody's at their own level. Some of them desire to expand and grow and to figure out more, and they will. They will take the ideas that we give them, and they will. There'll be seeds to them that will sprout and grow, and there are other people who will take those seeds and eat them and shit them out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's you keep giving the seeds anyway, and hoping that they plant them. But some of them are going to take them and shit on them.
Some are going to shit on them.
And guess what? Yeah. You're not offended either way. You've done your part. You've given it.
Yeah, and that was all
freely.
And that was all that I had to do. Born in Trouble, crazy. Who knows? Maybe this is our 15th episode of the season, maybe 20. I don't know, but you know what? It's been a rough year, and I almost lost it. You've lost a lot of people. Some of the people that I know are still fighting through it every day and everything, but we're going to keep continuing to get up and keep going and fighting the good fight and everything. And mostly, the reason why we do this is out of an emotion that most of you don't understand. It starts with 4 words, and it's LOVE. Born in Trouble. Robert Brooks.
2 words.
What's that?
Robert Brooks.
Robert Brooks. 2 words. Everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hopefully next week we'll have a couple more people. As we're kind of down right now because of all the stuff that's going on. You may even get me next week ranting about my goddamn self, and maybe that's what we need before the end of the year.
A good New Year's rant from John.
Good New Year's rant from John. Born in Trouble, everybody. Peace.
Check out the Luther Vandross movie on New Year's Day on CNN, by the way.
Okay. I will do that. Rob, thanks for
smile.
Rob, thanks